asked to do something you weren't too excited about? Something that might even cause some pain physically, mentally, or emotionally? Probably fairly often, right? Well, that happened to me one summer morning. One of my phone calls that sunny day was from the woman who chaired the women's ministry at my family's church. She asked me to pray about teaching the women's Bible study group the following spring. And not only was she asking me to pray about leading the group, but she actually gave me the topic of the Bible study, trials of all things. Her committee had discussed the needs among women in the church and decided that the topic of successfully handling trials would be important since so many were experiencing difficulties in some form or another. Well, little did these ladies know, but their request quickly became a trial in my life. Why, you ask? Listen on. My first response to this woman, I'm sorry to say, was negative. I don't like to teach by assignment. I much prefer to instruct out of the overflow of my personal study of the Bible. My second response, I'm also sorry to say, was fear. Who would want to attend a class that majored on problems? Don't most people want to hear pleasant, happy things? I certainly didn't want to be a teacher of doom and gloom. But as I talked it over with God, He changed my heart. I accepted the opportunity as coming from Him, that He was asking me to address the everyday, every person exposure to trouble, and that He had some things to teach me. The church committee was indeed wise. Trials are a part of life, including mine and yours. Looking to another teacher. Once I worked through the trial of doing something I wasn't sure I wanted to do and accepted the challenge of diving into the topic of trials, my mind raced to James, the writer of the book of James in the Bible. I thought James might have had a similar experience because he taught about trials. Imagine yourself in James' position. He was given an assignment to teach a course that could have been entitled Trials 101. Knowing that all Christians suffer, the president of the college, God Himself, asked James to create curriculum that would give all Christians the basics needed for handling bad times. Oh, but that's not all. James was essentially told the class would have to be a correspondence course. Why? Because he would never meet or talk to the people who needed and studied this course designed to help them manage their problems and challenges. Therefore, James' assignment was to write instructions that were universal, that would help in any and every situation for all time. He was to put in writing information that would aid any and every Christian, from the babe in Christ facing initial growing pains to the seasoned saint on his or her deathbed. He was to communicate guidelines that would instruct God's people in how to handle everything from a small insult to a major catastrophe. What would you do if you were James? What would you say? Where would you start? My friend, this is exactly the assignment God gave to James. There were some saints out there who needed help. Jewish believers living outside Jerusalem and Palestine, outside the hub of Christianity, were confronting a variety of trials. James' job was to give them advice on how to deal with their problems in a godly way. And what were the results of God's assignment to James? Here are a few facts surrounding James' timeless lessons to all believers on how to find God's path through trials. Getting straight to the point. To begin, the book of James is the first New Testament epistle or letter ever written, dated just 15 years after the death of Christ. It is a bold, straight-to-the-point, practical manual on holy living under any and all conditions, including distress. Filled with wisdom, the Epistle of James has been likened to the book of Proverbs because of its short, razor-sharp statements regarding godly living. How did James fulfill his assignment from God? He sat down and